Rachel, welcome to my channel. Last week I posted a video about all of my plant plans for this next year, and I don't know why I decided to do that one first and now I'm doing this one, but I don't know. Maybe they're out of order, maybe they're in just the right order. Who knows? But today I am going to talk about my favorite houseplants from this last year. Yeah, I have a list here, and as I'm sitting here I'm thinking of 2 other things, so I think I have 12 things that are my favorite houseplants. Not many of them are succulents because I'm not that into succulents. I like them, but there's only certain ones that I'm really good at taking care of because I don't know. There's other ones that I just absolutely love, such as my string of pearls now has gotten so big. It's beautiful. Well, it's not like gigantic or anything, but it's filling out the pot finally, and it's just, I can let it spill over without shoving more pearls into the pot. So it's just getting so gorgeous and I am so pleased with it. It's in an eastern window and it loves that spot so much. It just grows and grows. I water it every week or every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. It's whenever I'm watering plants over there, it's happy whenever I give it water. So as long as I don't water it more than every week, and as long as I definitely water it every 2 weeks, then it's happy. But I've never had it really give me a problem as long as I water it, you know, more frequently than my other succulents, of course. Another one of my favorite succulents is the Calico Orgy. I adore this plant. It is so beautiful. Unfortunately, this last year it did keep getting mealybugs, but it was very resilient against them as long as I, of course, cleaned off the mealybugs, and they were so easy to clean off of it. It was amazing. That's one of the things about succulents I don't like, is that they get mealybugs and they're just kind of annoying, but the Orgealis is really easy to get the mealybugs off of it, and the leaves are just so beautiful, and there's just something about it that I really like. I think it's partially the color because it just is so warm, and it's kind of like a nice velvet throw pillow. That's what this plant is like to me. It's in a southern window and in a terracotta pot, so I like to keep it watered every week, although it can go every 2 weeks if it needs to. It doesn't fuss. Sometimes I forget about my plants and some of them don't get watered for like 3 weeks, and this one is usually fine. It will start wrinkling, of course, but it's a succulent and it has that backup for when I forget to water it, so it does just fine. It's just a happy little plant. I've never had it flower or anything for me, unlike most of my succulents flower like crazy, but I love it and it's one of my favorites. Big time. Now we'll move on to my semi-succulent plants. One of them is my variegated hoya. So I think that mine is a rubra, I believe, because where the pink variegation is on this plant and everything. This plant has been so fun. It has not flowered for me, but I didn't get it for the flowers. I got it because I like its growth and its leaves. It just keeps growing and it just does so beautifully, and I really like it a lot. I water that one every week to 2 weeks. Most of my plants I water them every week to 2 weeks. I like to make them all go every 2 weeks if I have to, but some of them have to be watered every week, so you know, it's not too big of a deal. But other ones, I just water them when I feel like it, and it just does fine with my strange watering schedule that I put it on. I think that the key with watering houseplants though is to not have them on an actual schedule. You just water them when they need it. So yeah. Another one that is semi-succulent that I really like is my guppy plant. So this one does flower for me, but I love the foliage on it, and it's been growing really well. So it doesn't get too crazy huge, unlike some of my other plants that I'll be talking about on this list, but its growth has been very good in my opinion. It's been growing at a pace that I like. I like my plants to stay somewhat small, so that way I can have more of them and it doesn't get too crazy for me. It's in a western window in my kitchen, and being in a terracotta pot, it does like to be watered every week if I can remember, but it does not have to be. Sometimes that one, I don't water it for like 3 weeks and I don't even notice a difference in it. So I think it does just fine with me watering it. However, I feel like watering it, you know, of course not watering it more than once a week. And if it wasn't in a terracotta pot, then I would definitely water it like every 2 weeks and definitely not water it every week because that would be too much. So that brings me to my next house plant. Well, so technically these are different house plants, but they're the same kind of house plants, sort of. My regular lipstick plant and my mini lipstick plant. So my mini lipstick plant, I wasn't even sure if this was a lipstick plant for a while because the leaves are so little, but it can't be anything else. There's nothing else that I know of that is like this. So if it does have lipstick plant flowers, then I will know for sure that it's a lipstick plant. But if it never flowers for whatever reason, then I'm totally fine with that, because now that I've had it for a while and I finally put it in this macrame hanger that it's in, I love it. I just think it's so beautiful, and I'm not really sure why. I've always thought that the leaves seem kind of wilty and weird, but as I've had it longer, it's just really grown on me. And now, especially that it's in this new macrame hanger, I actually put it in that a few months ago, but I just love it. It's so beautiful. And I water it, like, I don't ever water it super good because it's in a hanging pot and I don't like taking it out of it. So I generally water it every week around it, and then, but sometimes I only water it every 2 weeks. Like all my plants, I just kind of water them when I feel like it, but I have to water it where I just water it a little bit and then I come back after watering some of my other plants and I water it a little bit more, so that way the water can slowly soak down and absorb into the soil and not pour out of it. The other one is my regular lipstick plant, the more just common one. This one is just so amazing. It's just growing so fast. It's really growing really fast. This one has not flowered yet either, but I haven't had it a super long time either. The guppy plant flowered right away again. It's actually flowered twice for me since I've had it. It's obviously just flowers really easily, even without being very root bound. Because some of the flowering plants need to be somewhat root bound before they'll flower. It just depends on the plant, of course. My regular lipstick plant is in the same conditions as my guppy plant, and I water it just as often because it's in the same window, so it gets watered when I remember. Those are all almost completely succulent plants, and so they get watered usually every 2 weeks. Sometimes once a month if I'm feeling adventurous and want to put a little danger in my life. So that brings me to another plant that's in that area. I obviously like a lot of plants in my kitchen window, but this one is my fiddle leaf fig, so it's definitely a very common type of houseplant. The fiddle leaf fig is such an easy plant for me to take care of. I mean, ficuses in general are fairly easy. I mean, like pretty darn easy. And this one is just, it shows me when it needs to be watered. It just talks to me so well. And I haven't moved it, but when I did move it, it didn't drop too many leaves, and it's just been doing really good. And I find that it's really easy. I take care of it the same way that I take care of all my other plants. I just water it when it speaks to me and it tells me it needs watered, generally when the leaves start to droop just a little bit. Sometimes if I'm watering plants over there and it's not drooping yet, then I'll check the soil, and sometimes I catch it before it starts drooping. Actually, usually I do. But if I forget about my plants for a while, which I do in that window sometimes, then it will talk to me just in case I forget about it. And it grows really easily, and mine is not the prime specimen that is like on Instagram or whatever. Mine was from Walmart. It was, I think, $5 on clearance, and it has a little hole in it in a couple spots. The leaves are not perfect. It gives me so much joy, and it just is there, and it's living and it's thriving and it's loving life. But it's definitely a very easy plant to take care of. It likes a nice sunny spot, If you can give it a really good sunny spot, then it will be very happy. Apparently if it's in really intense southern light, then sometimes it can burn, but I've had mine in direct light and away from my southern window like quite a few feet, but still getting direct light a few times a day, and it did fine there. And then I've also had it, of course, in that western window. It's to one side of the western window, so it doesn't get the harsh afternoon sun quite as much, but it does fine there. So I don't really know what to tell you about that. That's about it. So with bigger plants, that's one of my biggest plants that I have. I don't have a ton of huge plants, but I do have a few. And one of my other ones is on this list. This is my Philodendron. I don't know if it's Cellulum or what, because it doesn't really quite look like a Cellulum, but maybe it's just more juvenile. I don't know. It seemed like it's one of those ones that nobody's quite sure what it is, because when I've looked and I found pictures that look exactly like mine, people say that they think there's might be a Cellulum, but it's not quite the same as a Cellulum, and nobody can quite figure out what the heck it is. So I don't know. I got it at Lowe's for like $3 or $5. I don't know. I have a video about it. I got it on clearance, of course, and it was like 3 little branches. It was so pitiful, but the leaves were so cool, and it looked like it was still healthy enough. And so when I took it home, I cleaned it up, I took care of it, repotted it, and now it is just so beautiful. It has grown so much. I'm very, very pleased with this plant. Another Philodendron is my Monstera. I have 2 Monsteras. One of them has big, beautiful, wonderful leaves with all these fenestrations. That one I got as a cutting from my cousin. I love that one, it's beautiful, but my favorite one is the one that I got as a juvenile, like major juvenile. It was such a juvenile that basically it looked more like a pothos to an extent. Like, yeah, it has now gotten a couple fenestrations on it, but I love the little leaves that it has. I mean, they're definitely still big. They're like about this big, but I just love the shape of them, and I think that they're so beautiful without the fenestrations, and it's gotten big too. And so it's like this big old plant that's just like all these little hearts everywhere, and I really like it a lot. It's really beautiful. And I water that one like every 2 weeks probably. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I watered it last, but that's probably just because it's winter and I don't water my plants as much in the winter. They still need watered, of course, fairly frequently, but like not as much. And especially that one is in such a huge pot that it doesn't need to be watered as much. My second to last plant is an alocasia. It's just like basic elephant ear. I got that one at a craft fair as a cutting, and it's so cute. I like that it's all green. Like I said, it's a basic alocasia. It's just completely green, has nothing special about it, but it's still very special to me. I really love it. Its leaves have gotten so big, and it's just very happy. It's definitely not as big as alocasias can get, especially the elephant ears of this kind. They get huge, but right now it's in a little pot, so maybe one day it'll be a gigantic plant, but right now it's just, it has my little heart and its little leaves, and I love it. I water this one about every week to 2 weeks. It's in my eastern window, and my plants are in my eastern window get watered a little bit more often because I have my finicky plants over there, like my purple waffle and my Fittonia are over there, and they need to be watered every week. And so that's another reason why I have my string of pearls over there, is because it does like to be watered more frequently than my other succulents, and I know if I put it with my other succulents, then it will not be happy because I'll forget to water it as much. So my last plant, I'm not really entirely sure if I want to put it on this list, but I'm going to include it anyways because it's my Boston Fern, my big one. I really like it. It's just, I never thought that I could really get plants like ferns to grow very well for me. Like I have my Austrial gem fern. I love my Austrial gem fern. It's beautiful and it's gorgeous, but it's not as lifty and wonderful as some of my other ferns, so I'm not having that one on this list. But if you need a really easy fern, the Austrial gem fern is amazing. With ferns, you know that they're so annoying to an extent because they just like to dry up and die, and it's very sad. But since I put some moss around my Boston fern, it's just completely stopped drying out, and it's growing, and it's definitely not the most perfect looking Boston fern because it was doing so poorly. But now that it has the moss on it, it's getting new growth, and it's slowly getting rid of the old growth, and it's just coming back and it's reviving, and I'm really enjoying that process to see this plant go from such a sad state to being beautiful again. And I love the way it puts out new leaves. They're just like these little tendrils that slowly work their way out, and then they just pop up and they're just gorgeous, and I love them. So yeah, that's my last plant. And oh yeah, that one is in my living room and over by my fireplace, so it's a ways from my southern window, and it's behind the fireplace kind of, to where it's doesn't really get any direct light, not too much anyways. It does get some morning, but for the most part it's totally a-okay with the light, I guess. And I water it. Now I hardly water it at all. Like it's only every 2 to 3 weeks because it's like has moss on it and it hardly ever needs to be watered. It's wonderful. And I have a humidifier nearby, one right behind me. So, and the fern's right there, over there. Yeah. And so it gets extra humidity when I remember to turn the humidifier on. But I only recently put the humidifier in here and started using it like whenever I remember, which is hardly ever. I love it when my humidifier is on, but I don't remember to use it because I have to fill it up every time, and it's just like, who wants to do that? So yeah. Anyways, that is the end of my video, and there's been a few noises probably behind the camera. I'm sorry about that. I live with people. I hope you didn't get too distracted, and maybe I can cover it up for the most part with some music. So I hope you have a really great day, and please let me know what your favorite houseplants have been this last year too. And yeah, let me know what you think. I'll talk to you later. Bye!